Valley's Classic Hits, 97.7 FM and 1250 AM. That's Buffalo Springfield, and For What It's Worth. We heard Poco in Crazy Love. It also Loggins and Messina in Angry Eyes, some of the bands that Jim Messina has been in over his musical career. And as we mentioned earlier, we're going to be hearing from Jim Messina right now, actually, as he'll be coming to the area June 25th for a show at the Lynx in Worthington, Mass. Saturday, June 25th at 7:30. And we have the privilege to talk with Jim here on this Wednesday morning. Good morning, Jim. How are you today?
I'm great. Good morning to you, too.
Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
You bet. My pleasure.
Well, I know you've been staying busy just talking to you a little bit off the air. You've had a lot of shows, and it's great to have you to come to Massachusetts.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I spend a lot of days in Massachusetts performing, and it's one of my favorite places to go.
Well, we're looking forward to having you. Let's just go back a little bit over your time, and you've played in a lot of different bands. We just played some of the bands that you've been in. What were some of your favorite times over the years as a musician?
Well, in terms of favorite, I think just the opportunity to be working with, wonderful musicians and players. I mean, from Buffalo Springfield to Poco to Loggins and Messina. And recently I just found that I cut an album when I was 15 years old called Jim Messina and the Jesters. That has been released, which is really funny because it's all surf music. And when I start thinking about going way back in the high school days, I have a lot of fond memories playing at the CYOs and, at 13, 14, 15, 16, and then eventually Hollywood and the stuff that I did there as a recording engineer, which then, actually got me into working with the Buffalo Springfield, which was, I was their engineer, then became their producer, and eventually bass player. So I think it's all favorite to me. I just, I enjoy today probably more than I did then because I'm not having to be, 200 days a year on the road. I get to come in and do 3 or 4 days and then home and with the donkeys and the dogs and the ducks.
Now, that surf album you mentioned, that was released in actually 1964, right? In a time where that type of music was so popular.
Yeah, it was. And, it was unbeknownst to me that anybody who was even listening, but somebody liked what I did, and we recorded an album. They threw a bunch of dragsters on it, which I had hated. But they messed up my music. But it was popular at the time. That was commercial music for people who were looking at it, and for me, it was just playing for my high school friends.
Any one particular selection over your years that stands out the best to you?
I don't know about the best, but I get to perform Be Free every night, and it has it's an important meaning to me because especially as we get into life now where we have issues with pollution and air quality and warning, it's just it takes me back to the reason why I wanted to get out of L.A. and live with the rivers and the trees and be around animals and fresh air and just people who are good people. And every night when I sing that, it just centers me that I've been working toward the right thing in my life. But I love Angry Eyes too. I mean, it's such a great play, and You Need a Man. The musicians I have right now are really, really wonderful. I've got some great players, and they're just making the music even better as I go along.
We're visiting with Jim Messina, who's going to be coming to the Lynx at Worthington for a show coming up on June 25th. Well, you mentioned L.A. You were born in California, raised in Texas, and also split time between Texas and California. And I read that your father, who was a guitarist, was one of your biggest influences. Tell me about that.
Well, Dad, I guess my dad had a little band. I got a picture of him playing when he was in the 40s, and I was just always so intrigued by how he could make his thumb work and his fingers work. And of course, he did music like Merle Travis and Chet Atkins, and he could play that style. And so it just got under my skin as from 4 to 5 years old, and I just wanted to learn how to do that. And oddly enough, I think when I look back from around 4 to 5 years old, I was already wanting to be a musician. And my flight through high school and eventually at 13 starting a band, and that I realized that was really shaping my life as to who I wanted to become and who I would become. And I'm so grateful. Like, I'll be bringing a band with me, bass, drums, saxophonist, keyboards, and myself. It's a quintet, and they're able to capture all the stuff that I did from the Buffalo Springfield to Poco to Loggins and Messina to my solo works. And I, to answer your question, I think my favorite time really is right now. I just am enjoying my performances so well, and the audiences they come and they laugh and they cry and they appreciate, and it's just it's really a wonderful time in my life to have my music from 50 years come around and people still enjoy it.
Well, that's great. I like that answer. Again, happy to have you come in the Western Mass. Just one more thing. Besides your dad, who are some of the other big influences that maybe inspired you at a young age?
Well, I was very inspired by, believe it or not, James Burton, who was the guitarist on the Ricky Nelson show. And when I finally came to L.A. and started working and building studios, I had the opportunity to record him. And over the years, we became friends. Joe Osborne was also the bass player then. He helped me to get my chops together on the bass, which eventually got me to playing with Buffalo Springfield. But I just there's just so many great guitarists. I mean, as far as influences, I think it's more about who I appreciate to listen to when I'm not working. And I love Larry Carlton. He's always been such a great player, and even Paco de la Cia. I love flamenco music, which allows me to rest my brain as opposed to having to think about what I have to do. So, Stan Getz, Charlie Bird, really wonderful players. I think I was influenced by them and able to add some Latin feels to the music, the light jazz, Latin stuff. So there's probably a lot of them. I try not to listen to too many people because I don't want to get their music into my fingertips. That would be cheating, but I do enjoy Cuban music a lot, too. I just love the groove that those folks get into. I would say Desi Arnaz must have been a real influence to me because I love the Lucille Ball show, but I really like watching him and his band.
Great. A lot of different acts there. You went from a lot of different type of music for some of your influences. So, that's great. We're looking forward to have you in Western Mass. We appreciate your time, Jim, and looking forward to the show here coming up here later in the month of June.
You bet. We'll be bringing the whole band, so look out.
All right. Well, thanks, Jim. We appreciate your time.
All right, buddy. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you. That's Jim Messina joining us this morning, and he'll be in concert Saturday, June 25th at 7:30 at the Links in Worthington. That's on Ridge Road in Worthington, Mass. And looking forward to that. We gave away tickets to that show a couple weeks ago, and go to the Links at Worthington website. I'll have links on where you can get tickets there. Again, that date is June 25th, coming up here in a couple weeks. Thanks to Jim for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. It's the Valley's Classic Hits.